Hi, this is Miss Linden. This is my wonderful Period 3 class, and we are discussing Chapter 46, the major ecosystems of the biosphere. To get us set up for that, there's a couple of things we first need to talk about, and that would be the difference between weather and climate. Could Blue tell Slate, what do you think the difference is between weather and climate? Go ahead. Okay, Blue, use these notes to help you out as you're differentiating between the two.
I was thinking of practicing the exam on Tuesday, and this was an essay on it.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Share that out loud so you can hear it. Go ahead.
I was thinking of practicing the exam on Tuesday, and this was an essay on it.
Right there.
Like,
So
just the difference between weather and climate.
Yeah, that was probably one of
That's
the three pointers at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So weather is at a specific place in time. Like what you can think, weather determines like what you're wearing that day, and climate is your overall closet. Right? Do you have big thick jackets or not? So and that's dictated by temperature and precipitation. We're also going to look at geography and bodies of water and how that plays into it. Okay, the next thing I want to talk to you about are the types of climate when you refer to climate. Okay, so there's macro, meso, and microclimate. And could I have Slate? Could you differentiate between these climates? And by the way, to get macroclimate, this picture I got right here, I Googled San Ynez Valley. Okay, keep going now. Use the examples that I gave you. So that's easy to remember because micro means small, and that is the most specific climate. Could you have a difference in the temperature of a leaf above and below the leaf? Yes, that would be a microclimate. Okay, so go to your notes. Climate is dictated by temperature and rainfall. And then you can see those things are influenced by variations in solar radiation, topography, wind, bodies of water. There are two scales. Macroclimate works on the global, regional, or local level. Microclimate is determined by fine scale variations. Determined by fine scale variations, such as sunlight and temperature under a log. It's determined by fine scale variations, such as sunlight and temperature under a log. All right. Who do you think has the biggest impact on the climate? Man, okay? We can change it faster than organisms can adapt to it. What would be to change the climate of a region today? I'm going to go there and I'm going to change its climate. What do you think I could do?
Cut down.
I could cut down all the trees, right? Would that in and of itself make a difference? Yeah. Okay. So the issue is we're changing the Earth's climate faster than species can adapt, and you can look at that and you can see it how climates have changed. And in certain regions, it's having a very large impact because what's the concern? Global what? Warming. So if temperatures are getting warmer, I mean, you could make a joke about it and go, I'm okay with a couple degrees warmer. Nicer at the beach. Okay? But a couple degrees warmer, right? We know that enzymes work at specific what? Temperatures and pH. So if you change the temperature, you could affect the enzyme functionality, especially of what? Endo or ectotherms? Ectotherms, right? Okay, because their temperature is going to vary with what it is, right? Could you affect certain plant species and vegetation? Yes. And so that's the problem. Areas that are getting warmer, then certain plants can't grow there, and then you have insects or herbivores or primary consumers. They can't live there anymore, and secondary consumers can't live there anymore just because of those small fluctuations. You're taking their habitat and you're making it what? Smaller. And what do we know about smaller areas, just like islands? Less biodiversity, right? Less biodiversity. Okay? And so that has already happened and it is getting noted. So what do I have here? Increasing greenhouse gas concentrations in the air, warming the earth, altering distributions of many species. Some species will not be able to shift their ranges quickly enough to survive. Quickly enough to survive. Okay, so the Earth, thank you. The Earth, if you didn't know, is a sphere. Are there some people that think the Earth is not a sphere? Yeah, what do they call it?
Christian.
What? What is Christian? Not Christian. Flat Earth. Flat Earth. So where are you going to get the most solar radiation? Okay, listen to me right now. If you're not working on biology, if you're working on something else other than what I'm talking about right now, you are in the wrong place. Put yourself in the right place, okay, so that you are getting this information in your head. Do not allow yourself to be distracted by others who are going to focus on jokes or some other class that they're thinking about instead of thinking about this right now. This needs to be the most important. And along that lines, I did not give you the speech that I gave to first period yet. You have this weekend, right, to get ready, and then next weekend is your last weekend before you take that test. For some of you, depending on where you apply, how well you do will determine on whether they'll accept your score or not. Some schools want 4s and 5s, and they won't accept 3s. Some will count it for an actual biology class, and some will count it as an elective. Whatever they do, you want to set yourself up for the maximum that you could possibly, milk out of this class. So that means you need the highest score possible. And so you want to be reviewing, bless you, and practicing. If you saw last night, I did forget to tell you this. Last night I put up an extensive math review. It's like, I think it's like almost 17 pages, I'm not kidding you. And then it has an answer for all of those questions on there. Doesn't mean you need to do all of the questions, but you could look at a question and go, okay, what would I do? You don't have to do the monotony of working out every single one of them, but what would I do in this situation? Commit that. I would print it out. If you have 17 pages of paper, print it out, put what you think you would do, and then you have the answer key to do that. I also put up an ed puzzle last night, a math ed puzzle. It's like a snippet. It's actually fairly short. It's less than 7 minutes, but embedded in there are several math questions related to the 4 big ideas. And so if you have a calculator and a piece of paper, that would be a good time. It doesn't mean those are the only math questions, but at least you have a good representative from each of the 4 big ideas of a math question they could ask you. And then you will respond to that. So it says 7 minutes, but plan on a little bit more time. I also put up another science practice ed puzzle for review. And that one is focusing on writing a good question. And you know how on our labs all have driving questions? And you know, because you've taken enough practice tests right now, that they'll say, what question do you think they were asking with this kind of data, right? Do you remember some of those types of questions? So that should help you refine that. Also, if you can ask a good question, and you know how you can ask a question so you have quantifiable data, right? You have one independent variable and one dependent variable. Then you know how, if you know how to ask a right question, you know how to set up an experiment. You know how to set up an experiment, you know what kind of data you would want to collect, right? Just like when you did your snail lab last year, you had to design an experiment to collect some kind of data, right? And so that type of thing, if you really know how to ask a question, you probably know how to do the next steps of the scientific method. So there's an ed puzzle on that. The 17-page math thing, that's not due at all at any time. I'm just giving that to you. I think I gave it to you once before. I'm giving it to you again for your consideration. The 2 ed puzzles are due. The math ed puzzle is due, I think, tomorrow by 4 or 5. And then the driving question one is due Saturday morning by 10. You can do them both tonight if you want to. I was trying to space it out. And I'm going to put some more up there as well because we only have so much time. And along that note, this is not, in the next 2 weeks, the time to break up with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, okay? You want to decrease your drama in your life. This is not the time to set yourself up to make bad mistakes with your time. I always complain that I don't get enough sleep. Whose fault is that? That's my fault. That's 100% my fault, I'm in charge of my life and I'm in charge of my behavior. But don't set yourself up to fail. When I was doing progress reports, of which obviously none of you got, but when I had to do progress reports Tuesday nights, I do all the grades, I literally fell asleep in my living room with my computer on my lap. And my son said to me, Mom, go to bed. And I'm like, I can't, I have to do grades. And he's like, Mom, you have to go to bed. And I go, I just have to finish. I woke up enough, finished, submitted, everything. But then I walked into my bedroom, and what did I turn on? I turned on the TV. You know what movie I've never seen, but is actually highly interesting? Slumdog Millionaire.
Oh, that was so good.
I watched that movie. I could not turn that movie off. It was terrible. In fact, I couldn't turn it off to go and take my shower. So I watched it. Guess what time it was over? 11 o'clock. So at 11 o'clock, I'm getting in the shower. I was falling asleep on the couch at like 8, okay? What did I end up doing? That set myself up for failure. I'm telling you that. Don't you do that, right? How many of you have seen it? I highly recommend it. I thought it was too depressing.
My parents showed it to me when I was like 8.
Okay, that probably scarred you. It was, my heart was breaking. I was afraid to watch it, but I needed closure. But anyway, don't escalate things with your parents. Maybe some of you are like perfect children and your parents never yell at you. The next 2 weeks is not the time to escalate. It's de-escalate. It's get enough sleep. I don't want you to just do. I want you to hang out with your friends. I want you to play your instruments. I want you to dance. I want you to skateboard, whatever it is you do. But think about it. You got 2 weeks to make a huge difference. This is a score that is going to last forever for you and can make a huge impact. You want to put your best foot forward on that. Okay? So this is not the time to go down the rabbit hole of gaming. Okay? This is not the time to go and, watch the Fitness Marshal for 20 minutes, okay? This is time for you to focus on science for 2 weeks and whatever other classes you're juggling at the same time. You will have more time to study if you can give up one thing in the next 2 weeks. Something that takes you away, just one thing. Tell your bio buddy what's one thing you could give up just for 2 weeks. Just for 2 weeks. Sleep is not one of your choices.
Did the weekend, I'm waking up like a schedule, like an app schedule. Which bed?
Most of you have TVs that you can record things on. You can watch it in 2 weeks, right?
Netflix is always there.
Yeah. All right. So come back to me. Most of us realize that the Earth is a sphere, okay? And so the amount of the sun's energy is greatest where? The equator. Now it looks all even here, but let's just take a look at this, okay? And so if I went like this, you use these, right? Flashback? Okay, so I'm looking here at the equator. If I go and take this to the poles, that same amount of energy, right? This part hasn't changed. Same amount of energy, right? If I go here to the poles, it's covering, right, a larger area. It's covering a larger area. So you don't have as much, I'm looking for what fill this in, GPP? Gross primary productivity, right? And therefore the what else is smaller? Net primary productivity. So it cannot support as much life, right? So that has one impact on it, and then we have the tilt. What is the tilt of the Earth impact? Seasons, exactly. Okay, so on your notes, because the Earth is a sphere, energy from the sun is spread out over a larger area near the poles. Because the Earth is a sphere, energy from the sun is spread out over a larger area near the poles. And because the Earth is at a tilt, we have different seasons. Blue, can you explain this picture right here? Go ahead, Blue. Okay, and this is only showing you half of it because it could happen on both sides, right? And we watched that video already about that. Okay, and so that's why you see these cells cycling, and that's good on that. I minimized that. Did I not in your notes? Did I minimize it? Yes. Okay, good. All right. Next. Hello. Do you need me? No?
Oh, I was going to give you something to put on your shirt.
Oh my gosh. Did you do that for Ellen too?
I'm going to make her one too.
I like it. Sorry, Miss Chevalier and I have been mocking their pins. Anybody in the engineering program? So did you, what level made these?
Yeah, IED.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we were mocking their pins.
She called
Mine
us
is
science
upside.
nerds, okay? She called us science
I didn't say
nerds.
anything like that. You engineered this upside down.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, you did.
Can you flip it around then?
Yeah, I can.
Sure.
No, I'll give it to an engineer.
Maybe.
Maybe. Thank you. I like it. Got evidence. That's perfect. I will wear that. Miss Chevalier goes, well, if you make us pins, we'll wear it. And I go to Miss Chevalier, I'm all, no, we won't wear it. She goes, oh, sure we will. And so will Miss Galbraith. And I'm all, no. Yes. It's up to you, my dear. I'm recording this so you can watch it.
I think I'm just gonna turn in my form.
Okay, and see if they can pull you fifth period. Okay, so the troposphere is where we live, okay? These are our spy planes going over North Korea, okay? These are the transport planes that we're flying in, right? Okay? I think you have already learned, is it fixable? It's pinched in there, right? Okay. We did some El Nino discussions last year, right, in foundations, so we're good with that? Okay. Now, slate. I want you to use these words: windward, leeward, rain shadow, okay? And I want you to talk about why Yosemite is so much greener. The western side of the Sierras is so much greener than the eastern side of the Sierras, like in Mammoth. Go ahead. All right. Oh, I'm so glad I recorded that whole story about pens. Okay, so here you can see a picture of here you can see a picture where you can see the Sierras, and you can see the moisture that you have on the western side, and then you have these deserts on the eastern side, and this continues all the way up through the Pacific Northwest, right, into Oregon and Washington. You have the whole mountain line there, and it's beautiful and lush on the western side. On your notes, let's put topography is a physical feature of the land. As air rises due to mountain features, moisture is dropped, and that's the windward side. On the leeward side of the mountains, the now cool, dry air sinks, and this area is known as the rain shadow. Blue, could you take on number 2, please? So Blue, knowing that, talk about why there's an onshore breeze in the morning and an offshore breeze in the evening. Go ahead. Why does the temperature of the water change slower than the temperature of land? Hydrogen bonds, right? Because that energy can be held in those hydrogen bonds. And so the land's going to heat up pretty fast, re-radiate it, where here that energy is going to be held in those hydrogen bonds at that point. And so the cooler ocean breezes are going to come on shore, And then in the nighttime, the land's going to cool more rapidly. The ocean is re-radiating that heat that it absorbed all day. And so the air is going to be rising over the ocean and then pull this off. And that's why it can cool down in the evenings, right, as you get those winds. This can also influence, speaking of Slumdog Millionaire, of monsoon climates. And I gave you some notes about that, I believe. And Slate, why don't you talk about monsoon climates and India? Should I give you notes? Okay, and then last but not least, the lake effect. Okay, and so on your lake effect, winds pick up moisture over a lake and then drop that as snow once the air starts to rise over the land masses. And here you can see a picture of the snow effect. This is Lake Michigan right here. You can see the direction that the wind was blowing and where the snow is dropped. Why are we talking about this? Because we're going to be talking about terrestrial and aquatic biomes. And terrestrial biomes are going to be affected, yes, by climate, temperature, and rainfall, right? But they're also going to be affected by geologic features. They're going to be affected by whether it's near a body of water, whether it's by any mountains, right? So all of those things are going to impact it. What do you tend to see as biomes go next to a tropical rainforest? You know what biome can be? A neighbor to a tropical rainforest? Not hearing anything. Think about windward and leeward side of a mountain. Because the same effect is going to happen in the tropics, right? Warm air is going to what? Rise. And then what's going to come down? Dry air. So what do you think has the dry, deserts. Yeah, so it is not unusual to see that dry desert area like a Sahara, okay, next to the tropics, okay? We'll talk about things like grasslands. Why are grasslands and not tree lands and forests? Why aren't they? Not enough water, yeah. And also those grasslands are going to have large herbivores. They're probably going to eat any developing little trees, right? And you have fires, but primarily you don't have the water. So that's why it's going to have grass instead. Okay? Do I owe you any notes? You have everything on that. Good? Okay, here is a question. And I'm going to remove you real quick. I think you're going to pop up any second. There you are. Be something biome. That's a word.
Did they fix it?
No, but I could still put it on.
Or I fixed this one for you.
Give this one to Ellen. I can take the bad one.
No, it's
You can
okay.
give her a good one.
I got one for her.
Oh, okay. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Gotta move quickly. Sylvia, how is that biome? Five, four, me apparently. Okay, let's check it. Yay! Perfect. Yeah, the tilt is about causes the seasons. Okay, the tilt. Sphere units, excellent. Okay, because the Earth is a sphere. 20 of you got this. Tilted the Earth as it orbits around the sun. Excellent. Okay, moving on. We are introduction to biomes, major types of ecosystems that occupy very broad geographic regions. They are characterized, terrestrial biomes, by climate and geography. By climate and geography. And it contains plants and animals that are adapted to living within a specific range of environmental conditions. And they can migrate to those. This is a climograph. Take a look at this climograph, and I don't know whose turn it is. Blue? Slate? Slate. Explain the axes. Go ahead, Slate. Explain the axes. Can you read them? Why is the tropical rainforest way over here? Has the most what? Rain and the more, not the least temperature. Do you see what you just did? You know a tropical rainforest is warm. And you all said it has the least temperature. Because you think about a graph and it's on the bottom, so it must be least. That's why I said look at the axes, right? You know a rainforest is warm. So if you look at this, it's going 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, 0, and then -5, -10. Make sure to pay attention to even obvious things like that on a graph. Okay? Why is the desert and the tundra both over here, all the way to the left?
No rain.
No rain. So it doesn't have to do with temperature whether you're a desert or not, right? The tundra is known as a frozen desert. It's no rain, not because of temperature. That makes something a desert. So you can literally plot temperature and rainfall, and you can find all your biomes. Now, what else can influence that? Well, temperature and rainfall can be influenced by bodies of water. Temperature and rainfall can be influenced by topographical features, right? Mountains and things like that as well. So on your notes, Climographs can plot biomes according to their mean temperature and rainfall. See similar pattern comparing an increase in latitude as with an increase in altitude. An increase in altitude. If you wanted to see all the biomes.
Hello teachers, sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to make an announcement that please do not let any students out after this point for the blood drive. Again, please don't let any students out after the blood drive. And they will not leave the blood drive either. They will be there if they're there. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yes.
Oh, can I go back?
Yes. I'm like considering it.
Yeah.
You have to pee down on the football field. All right. So here you can see the different biomes, but I want to jump here. You can see all the biomes if you started at the equator and you moved your way all the way to the poles. Or another thing you could do is you could just climb a mountain. Okay, increase your altitude. Increase your latitude or increase your altitude, and you can work your way through all the biomes. Why? As we go up that mountain, our temperatures are going to go down. What else is going to go down? Precipitation is going to go down. So if you see the frozen tundra at the pole, okay, this right here is called alpine tundra. Tundra doesn't have any trees. Many of you have been to Mammoth and you've seen the tree what? Line. It's like, you can see it's like trees and no. Okay, they just stop. Okay, because at that point there's just not enough moisture to support them. All right, so we have that. Now let's move on to aquatic ecosystems. Here we are. So various aquatic ecosystems, but either way they make up the largest part of the biosphere because water covers about 75% of the Earth's surface, and it's where we have the most primary productivity. Most primary productivity. And most of the Earth's fresh water is locked in what? Glaciers. And Blue, can you please talk about those polar regions, please, Blue?
Most what? Most what?
Here's some light. Aw, until he rips off your face. Here's some light. That's really not evaporation, but it's probably rainfall. It's precipitation, but I just needed a picture.
I had to do the whole packet.
So it's classified as either freshwater, like lake, wetlands, or moving bodies of water. you have saltwater and marine systems, and you have brackish, which is a mixture of each. In the water cycle, eventually all fresh water will be returned to the what? To the sea. Be returned to the sea. Though along the route, it may spend time in rivers, ponds, aquifers. And most of these bodies of water display vertical stratification. Vertical stratification. Slate differentiate between these two regions, though there are more than that, and talk about NPP. Go ahead. And also explain this right here.
Andrew.
Did you explain this slide? Good? All right. Tell your bio buddy your favorite terrestrial biome. Okay, got your favorite? All right. So we're going to start learning about the biomes, and we're going to start with the cold ones. But here's how it's going to work. I have slides. I have more information than what you need, but just to give you the flav, I will go over with you and fill in all these blanks. Okay, I promise you. But what I want you to do right now is you're going to be ping-ponging back and forth. Slate's going to go first. There are 4 items per each slide. Okay? And location, climate, plants, and animals. Look, Oak Eagles. Okay? So what's going to happen is it's going to go slate, blue. And blue, just give a quick summary on the whole. What are the trends you see for this? Blue, when you talk about animals, talk about what do they have to be adapted for? That's what I want you to walk away with. Then I'm going to go to the next slide. We're going to do the same thing, but this time it's going to go what? Blue, slate. Trends. And then I'll go through and fill in all the notes with you. Okay, so we just want to get in, because you're not expected to memorize all the biomes. There are a few key words and phrases, and those I will hit with you. But think about you do need to know how organisms respond to their environment. That you do need to know. Okay? So here we go. First one. Talk it over with your bio buddy. And I'm sorry about the mini boxes.
It's too cold. It's cold and dark. You need time to grow. It's too cold.
Hey, look at this.
Trend statements. Some trends.
But like here's the insects. What are the insects?
Here we go. Now, coniferous forest. It's a forest. So what do we have? Trees. What must we have more of? Water. Okay, now, it's still cold. We're working, right, from the highest latitude down. So it's going to be cold. So what kind of trees can we have? Can we have big broadleaf trees with big branches? No. We need to have conical trees. Christmas trees, Hanukkah bushes, conifers, right? Okay, here we go. Back and forth.
The northern part of Northern America and Europe and then spurs.
Go ahead and make your trend statement. Compare and contrast it to your last known biome that we just talked about. All right, here we go. Next. Okay, this is what I call the typical forest. This is not Jungle Book forest, but this is your typical, Hansel and Gretel forest, that you read about. Okay, here we go. Make your trend statement. Okay, here we go. Now we're Jungle Book, right? Okay, here we go.
Equators, then it's big it's rain,
When you make your trend statement, talk about the 4 different places we went to as we moved through to the equator. Go.
Okay, so what is
All right, so let's fill in just these first 4. On tundra, 20% of the Earth's surface. That's quite a bit, isn't it? How much of the Earth's surface, how much of the Earth is water? Yes, and now here we've got 20% of the Earth's surface is tundra. Okay, permafrost, permanently frozen layer. Cold temps, high winds, little rainfall. No trees and tall plants, and you know why there's no trees. Coniferous forests, cone-bearing, conical shape, prevent branch breakage. Prevents branch breakage. Okay, temperate deciduous forests, dense stands of deciduous trees. It requires water. They drop their leaves in the fall. 3, stratified with shrubs. You have shrubs lower, and then you have trees. Not as stratified as our next forest, though, but it is stratified with shrubs. Mammals will enter hibernation, and birds will migrate. Tropical forest, vertical stratification. Light can have a hard time passing through. You have epiphytes. What kind of relationship are epiphytes? Commensalism, right? It's a symbiotic relationship with the other, or with the trees that they're on. They don't hurt them, but it benefits the epiphyte. The greatest biodiversity of all the biomes. The greatest biodiversity of all the biomes. Will you find microclimates here? Yes. Okay. What would be the sister biome of all our aquatic biomes? This is a terrestrial one. In an aquatic biome, probably the coral reefs. Okay, but also in a warm area, right? Why? We have a lot of light, gross primary productivity is high, yeah? Okay, now, those are all straight up rainfall where you are on the latitude. Now let's take into condition, do we have mountains? Are we really far away from the water? Are we closer to the water? Okay, are we near a tropical area that just lost a lot of water? Those are the modifications we're gonna see now. So let's go to Oak Park. Oh, wait, first look at epiphytes, yay. That's not Oak Park. Now let's go to Oak Park, okay? Whoever's turn it is, you're up back on top, here we go. Make your trend statement, make comparisons, think adaptations. Grasslands. Grasslands are usually far away from the what? Ocean, right? Okay, keep going. Yeah, lots of herbivores. Yeah, there's lots of grass.
Oh, Joshua Tree is so sick. You seen them? So sick. Favorite tree. So sick.
All right. Shrublands, also the chaparral, dense spiny evergreen shrubs adapted to fire. Okay, grasslands, seasonal drought, occasional fires, large grazing mammals, soil rich in nutrients, good for agriculture. And in deserts, we're talking about extreme temperatures. Why extreme temperatures? You oftentimes don't have the mediating factor of the water, ocean, yeah. Plants and animals are adapted to what water? Conserve. Conserve water. Contain many cam plants. Ooh, what are those? Oh, are you saying fix CO2 at night when the stomata can afford to be open?
Yes.
That's what I was thinking. Fix it to PEP? Okay.
Or is that N4?
All right. Cam plants and adaptations that prevent animals from consuming them, such as vines and cacti. I want to move into our aquatic biomes because we have like 8 minutes left. And then if we have time, we can do the questions in a review, okay? Because I have a bunch of questions in here too. So aquatic ecosystems are grouped based on abiotic factors: flow of the water, how deep the water is. Think about how those things are going to affect. If you have more flow, do you think you're going to have more or less oxygen in that water? More. Yes, still water ends up not having a lot of what? Oxygen. If you have moving water, you're going to have more oxygen. Depth. What is that going to be? Depth of water, you already reviewed that. Aphotic, right? Or photic, that's going to affect what your productivity is. Distance from the shore. Think about it. The farther you get from the shore, usually the deeper the water is, right? Where are most of the nutrients going to be? On the shore, on the bottom, right? So now I'm farther and farther and farther away from those nutrients. Gravity, it's going to make them fall, right? So I'm not going to have, I'm really over an abyssal plain, I'm not going to have access to a lot of nutrients, right? Because I'm so far from where all of those are going. Salinity and what you can withstand. If you're in a place like an estuary, you could be bathed in fresh water and then later you're bathed in ocean water, depending on the tide. You better be a very good osmoregulator. Nice. Better be a good osmoregulator. And latitude, what does latitude have to do with the temperature of the water, right? The temperature of the water, how the enzymes are going to be functioning. So all of those things will affect what your biome is. Wetlands and estuaries are transitional aquatic ecosystems. Like you could have marshes where they have a lot of water, bogs, it's acidic water, so you have to be adapted to that. Here is, they have a high level of species diversity, and they can work to clean water because they act as like a sediment trap. And so the water going out of a wetland is usually cleaner than the water going into that wetland. And I think it's maybe your next chapter, but you might have already done it. Maybe it's this one, the highly suggested reading and thinking. We have a question about wetlands. Highly suggested reading and thinking will be on your Unit 8 exam. Probably not your final, but they will be on your Unit 8 exam. Okay, so make sure you review that. So, wetlands. Areas that are wet for at least part of the year. They are important as habitats. Important as habitats. Here is a pond. Here is a lake. It's an inland body of water. And communities are distributed according to the water's depth. We learned about eutrophic lakes. The other type would be an oligotrophic lake. Low primary productivity. Colder water. Now, on oligotrophic, deep lakes that are nutrient poor and oxygen rich and contain sparse phytoplankton, bless you. Low inputs of nutrients. Okay, and this is a eutrophic lake. It's usually shallower. We talked about over-enrichment. Remember with phosphates, you can have a lot of algae, but if you have a lot of algae, you can have a lot of what? Who works on it? Decomposers, right? Who are removing that oxygen. So eutrophic, shallower, have higher nutrient content, but lower oxygen. Now, you don't see so much overturn in these shallow, but you definitely see it in the oligotrophic waters. You do have, just like if you jumped into a pool, begin the summer, and at first the top water is really hot, but then as you dive down into the deep end, you know, it keeps getting colder. So amplify that quite a bit, and that'll affect what organisms you have. Most of the nutrients are gonna be down here at the bottom. The benthic is always bottom. And so what happens is, as the temperature of the water changes, water's gonna be more or less dense, and it's gonna cause it to cycle, and the winds are gonna cause it to cycle, and that's called overturn. And lake overturn happens 2 big times during the year, and it's critical because it gets oxygen down to the lower depths, and it gets the nutrients up to the top. So it's kind of like a spoon in your lake. So on your it's not 11:35 yet.
Is the construction gonna offer us a route to where we're supposed to go?
That I don't know.
They
I guess we
They
can do
didn't
the
stop
sidewalk.
the thing to update us on that.
No, they didn't. Okay, I'm jamming these notes in them real quick before we go. Is your class already out there?
No.
Okay. So coral reefs, no. Lakes, communities, we did that, sorry. Overturn, you have it all, right? Coastal ecosystems, estuaries is where water, salt and fresh water mix, highly productive, and the nursery of the sea. Highly productive and the nursery of the sea. I know I have an estuary here somewhere. Here's another one. And then oceans. There's some ocean pictures. Look at those oceans. Hi, ocean. Oh, look, there's some ocean. Oh, now, again, you used to have to know these terms, but there's no indication that you have to know these terms anymore, but I'm just gonna give you a couple ways, just remember, just 2, okay? The pelagic division of the ocean and the benthic. You're already gonna think benthic what? Bottom, right? You can pelay in the pelagic division, okay? Pelay. Neritic is near the shore, okay? Okay, so if that will help you. Epi is always going to be above, right? Benthic is on the bottom. So coral reefs are created by cnidarians. Oh, there's a coral reef. Coral reefs are among the most productive ecosystems on Earth. Productive ecosystems on Earth. And then we've talked about this before, hydrothermal vents. Chemoautotrophic bacteria obtain energy by oxidizing hydrogen sulfide and are the producers at the bottom of the food chain. Producers at the bottom of the food chain. Okay, I know